And we are live. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome back, Elijah. Lee Construction Institute, Northern California Community Practice, co-hosted with the EBFC show, the Easier, Better for Construction podcast. I'm so happy to have Elijah back with me on a beautiful Friday. Go Celtics, right, Elijah?
Go Celtics. I was saying that music that was leading us in was just getting me high. I'm hype about this, but in general, I was ready to go like run through a wall. So this is good. That's some good lead up music.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Noah for helping the music to get better. That's an improvement from the last round of feedback. So
Yeah,
he did
yeah.
well. Good job. All right, so today we'll start with introductions. Again, for people that don't know, Elijah, you'll go first, and then I'll follow you because you're the guest. The guest always goes first. That's the
Mm,
rule.
yeah. Quick intro to me. I was on before, so check it out. But I am a co-founder, COO of Roger. My background is in operational efficiency and analytics. Kind of have made the hop across a couple startups, from thing to thing, kind of in entrepreneurship. But what we do now is a lot of process improvement at mid-sized to large commercial GCs across the country and have embedded a lot of AI into our product as we're growing. And so I think it puts us in a really good intersection to talk about what you and I love to talk about, which is construction process and AI and what's the future going to look like.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And then I am Felipe Engineer Manriquez, and for people who follow me, engineer is part of my last name. You all know that by now. If you want to hear the story on that, I'm sure I can put a link to a podcast where I explain it in more detail. But just like all of you, it has something to do with my father. So I am the current chair of the Lee Construction Institute Northern California Community Practice, host of the EBFC show, the Easier, Better for Construction podcast, like we talked about. And what do we exist to
The
do?
EBFC show exists to serve people in the construction industry.
Always got to have that video ready, Elijah.
Gets me every
we'll have to
time.
get one for
Gets me
you
every
too.
time.
Every time we'll get one
Yeah.
for you as well. But yeah, we're doing this as part of raising awareness for the community that we have. And Elijah and I are connected from California to Boston, and we met in San Diego, and then from there we got connected, and we've been playing together ever since. And we've been through Scrum together. We've had I'm the Kevin Bacon of Scrum Masters for Elijah that's connected several general contractors to Roger for their Scrum implementation on their solution. But today we're going to talk about AI. So if you want to know more about that, we'll put a link later in the comments back to live stream number 1 where we're hyping an event. Next Wednesday, we have an in-person event in Redwood City, California. And I think I might have yeah, I actually I have like an image for this to hype this up. So let me bring that to the studio and bring that in so we can just remind ourselves of what the dates are for people that want to come and be with us in person with our beautiful community. So we've got an AI powered construction. It's not Scrum. It's just AI, it's just future proofing, future proofing. So my bad. I just get so scrum happy. I just scrum everything. So Wednesday the 19th, join us at the DPR office down in Redwood City, California, from 5:30 to 8 o'clock at night. We will be serving meal and drinks, and then the following week we're going to do an event here in the Sacramento area on the 27th of June from 5:30 to 8 at the HED Architecture office here on R Street. So please, please, please come join us at those events. And I always want to thank our sponsors. We're all listed there on the slide. So we've got, let me zoom in for that. We've got Boulder and Associates, the bolt company, where I'm broadcasting live from an undisclosed bolt project location right now. I'm so happy. The bolt team today gave me chocolate. So my extra happiness is because I'm flying high on some of the special Hershey's right now. Degenkolb, DPR, HED, Herrero Builders, HOK, Pixis, Rosedin, Southland, Stantec, UCSF, V Planner, and XL Construction. Thank you all so much for supporting our Northern California community practice. And we've got those beautiful events coming up, so you don't want to miss those and get with us in person. There's a little snap from our last live stream with Elijah, and we had quite a few things that we wanted to talk about. So just keep this at the back of your mind, Elijah, as we go through things. What we're going to talk about is 10xing our current state, getting faster. We'll check with Roman to see if he woke up and watched us in the future, and then some construction related uses and just some other AI software, which you did a good job, I think, of answering him with fireflies.ai. I've seen that. I've been to meetings with that as well.
Hmm.
Two
Yeah, it's
guy
a great
AI.
tool.
How do you say that one? Two gal?
Yeah, I
Two
think it's
gal?
I think it's Toggle. I think it's Toggle.
Toggle.
I actually have never
Toggle.
known, but
Yeah.
it's a really cool takeoff software. It's was started by actually he was a CEO of a GC, I think, down in Florida, and kind of like built it for himself. And I think that they have commercialized it. And um, from what I've heard, for those who are spending a lot of time on takeoffs, it's awesome. So check it
Yeah.
out. Very construction specific.
That is awesome. Yeah, we've got today we're going to focus on future trends and ethics. That is the topic at hand. So without further ado, I told Elijah no preparation is necessary on his part because he's just the boss and he knows exactly what's what. And he's got just the right amount of experience to dive in with this. So we're going to just dive right in. So let's just jump into what we know. At our company, we did a deep dive scan. I think it was January of this year or December. No, there. Thank God I got the slide to remind me. It was December of last year, and these are the areas that our team looked at where AI could be or currently is. So we had estimating, contract management, procurement, design management, building information modeling, virtual design construction, equipment, site logistics, resource management, quality, document control, Bolt production system. That's Bolt's version of last planner system production controls, scheduling, project accounting, project controls, self-perform work for a general contractor, or just what trade contractors do every day, day in and day out, commissioning, safety, relationship management, marketing, and industrialized construction. This was just like a quick brainstorm of what we thought could happen, or we could use it. So I'm going to just jump in. There's some do's and don'ts that we had. I'm going to skip past those for a second and just cover, I think this covers it well. So, I mean, this just goes good for anybody. AI responses, artificial intelligence responses must always be carefully verified by a human. And currently, we're working with one of our vendors to get some company approved AI standards for us in the future. So that's coming for our partners watching this. That's in the pipeline in the works right now. But Elijah, what do you think about this recommendation that you're seeing here? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we can't
So
copy and paste anything that the robots tell us. Is that
there's this style of working with AI that's becoming really prevalent today. One, because it's going to build trust, and two, because it also helps teach whatever model you have called human in the loop use of AI, which really means this, right? It's going to generate something, it's going to show you it, and that human, you as the PM, you as whoever it might be, is able to accept, reject, edit, whatever that might be, in order to ensure that the end product is really good. So I think this is how we always, I mean, even when we run a lot of automation, whether with AI or not, but I think human in the loop is really the way forward for a lot of people because it lets you get work done without having to blindly have faith. So being in that,
wow.
being able to approve what happens is big.
I think that's great. See how prepared you are? You're on point. You got it. So, I mean, we know we knew from our survey, and this AI is nothing new. So some people have been following this. It's been around for quite a while, but it's impacting architecture, engineering, and construction like now, like right now.
Hmm.
So just a couple of
hmm
definitions. Sometimes people don't know what Gen AI is. Generative Artificial Intelligence. There's a definition for us. Uh, it uses to generate content, right? It's like seems pretty intuitive, but I can't tell you, Elijah, how many times I've seen Gen AI and I'm like, I want to say it stands for generative, but I just can't remember. I don't think about it all the time. And we've got common uses there. People are using it for content creation, articles, images, videos, audios, automation of tasks for customer service, like chatbots. Like I think
hmm
I was calling like a a doctor's office to confirm an appointment, and I had to talk to AI customer service response. I never got to a
hmm
human. It was computers and AI talking to me the whole time. It sounded very much like a person, but it wasn't. And let me just
hmm
get another image on the screen here. There's a little. That's what I think of when I think of
Yeah.
chatbot, and that's an AI generated image as well. What do you think, Elijah?
Yeah.
Have you using any Gen
So
AI in your life?
yeah, I think there's some low-hanging fruit that I feel like you and I probably do a decent amount of, especially around content. So most likely, you and I are going to record this, and then we're going to go throw it into, for me, an AI tool that I use is called Opus, which will automatically subtitle it and chop it up and give me 20 clips that I can just quick throw into LinkedIn, right? And it's a way for us to publicize that we talked. But there's a ton of tools that do that. Yeah, be it image, be it video management, and then and in some ways those are very broad, very generalized. Uh, and as we get smarter and smarter, we'll do some specific stuff. But Opus is one I use all the time.
Yeah, Opus.pro people. That's where it's at. That's the EBFC show is also a customer of Opus.pro, Opus AI solution. So I'm glad that we're aligned on that. And then we also have I asked AI to generate a quasi dangerous image of a construction worker, and you can see that it hallucinated a little bit, and in the construction site in the background, you can see there's a school bus turning onto the site, about to mow down a couple construction workers. But I did tell it in the
And then are
prompt. I
there
said,
train tracks? It looks like there's train tracks there too. They got
yeah,
they got a lot
and
of things coming in.
yeah, if you look at his desk, his chair is on the train tracks. So you got to be careful
Yeah.
what you ask for. But that's what I asked for. I wanted something to look edgy and dangerous, and it did. I generated this image back in like fall of 23, and there's been some improvements to Dolly. This was from Dolly 2, and I've also experimented with Midjourney. Have you done any Midjourney experiments on Discord, Elijah?
I have not used Midjourney. I know of it, but I have not generated anything with Midjourney yet. Have you had good results with it?
I had some early on. I used it to create some avatars, and I'll show
Mm,
those the people that come to our live event in Sacramento and in Redwood City. You'll see an example of one of those avatars that I used that Midjourney helped me come up with, and then just take it from there. So stay tuned and come on down. So the other thing, there's some societal trends and as well as impacts. Like there's some good, like it creates content, but where's the downside? We look back in early
mm,
2023 and we saw there's the number on the page. Let's make it visual. We had just in tech layoffs alone, you can see in January, uh, 240,000 plus jobs were shed over the course of the year, with the vast majority of them coming right at the beginning. And this open AI for commercial use started just the year before in 2022. And I'd say it was about early 2022 when I started playing with some of the different AI that was available commercial, like Anthropic's Claude, OpenAI,
mhm.
and then Copilot and Microsoft at some point later. Is this surprising to you, Elijah? Have you seen this data before?
I've not seen this data before, so yeah, this is surprising to me. I think my question on correlation versus causation is just like the Apple, Google, Facebooks of the world were on this downward trend post COVID for a while. And I wonder how much of this is AI related versus just like the market and the rates have been so bad that this is just like a carry through of it. What I will say, and this is like me saying something unsolicited, is that I do think that these are the jobs that change rather than AI taking the jobs of the trades in the field or of these construction managers or whatever that might be. Like, I think the impact, like, more often than not is on the code side or on the people who are doing video editing, right? Or all of those services I think are taking an impact because that's what AI is very good at. But the knowledge base that most of construction needs, I don't think AI is going to impact those jobs. It's just going to increase productivity for those who are there. So I don't know. It's interesting to see the impact on tech. I think the construction impact will be different.
Yeah, I agree. And then, things that we warn people is bias, because everything that AI is made by people, and people code in their biases. And most biases are unconscious, subconscious, so you're not aware of what they are consciously. And then there's environmental results as well. Like, these same companies are
Mhm.
building data centers across the United States and the world in different
Yeah,
areas. So we know that these things are happening. It's real. Like, and a lot of the
yeah,
people watching this are probably working at companies chasing this type of work to do this type of
yep,
stuff.
yep.
And then
They're
one, because go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say I was looking at QTS, which is a big data center builder who just got a big cash infusion from a company called Blackstone, which are their big private equity group. And I think they had built to date something like 30 data centers. And in the next 3 years, they're going to try and build 35. And this company's been around for like almost 20, 30 years, right? And so just the acceleration of the impact of that, but also just the whole market is they're trying to basically double everything in 2 years that's been done since the beginning of time. It's pretty crazy.
That's wow. That's like, I think it's like it's going to bust Moore's law. Someone's going to have to invent a data center law for for the
Yeah.
to predict this upward trend. But a lot of the companies that we work in the AEC industry use Microsoft products, and
Mhm.
Microsoft has a whitelisted OpenAI software called Copilot, which is just their version of ChatGPT, and it's been trained on all of their software. And this is just a representation from. And then we took this image from Microsoft itself, and they're saying that you can use AI to get recommendations, helping people like construction companies in particular, suggesting product, services, and process enhancements in the way that we're using this suite of tools, as well as creating content like 3D models to help architects, builders, designers visualize plans, alter, build in more sustainable materials, improve efficiency, buildings, help plan and schedule faster. Because now you can give it information, best practices in your protected company data, and then talk to that data, having a conversation using something like
Mhm.
Copilot, depending on how your IT group trains it up. So I think a lot of people, I think anybody with a Microsoft account can go to Bing and use a couple. I think you get like 4 free chats with Copilot. But if it's turned on in your company, it depends on what your company policy is. You might have somewhere from 10 to 30 chats per workday, unless they have like an
Mhm.
unlimited plan, which I'm not sure. Uh, are you all at Roger using Microsoft or some other
We
similar
are we are all
competitor?
in Microsoft. We haven't turned on Copilot yet because we run 90% of our operations in Roger itself. So we got our own stuff going. But I've heard mixed, I don't know, I would love to hear your take on this. I've heard mixed results from Copilot so far in terms of
Yeah,
satisfaction, but I think it's a little bit more of the vision is there, the execution is starting to ramp up. I don't know if you feel that or have heard that on your end.
yeah. I've used it, and it depends on what you're using it for. Where it's really
Mhm.
strong is in all of these Microsoft things. I think I might have some more stuff here, so you could use it to help do automations. And And Microsoft does now
Mhm.
have some more like Power BI apps and some automation type apps.
Mhm.
It's just escaping me what that app is called in the Office 365 suite of apps, but there is an app that can do some automations for you. And now when you get stuck, you can chat right with Copilot to like to really
Mm.
become like a super user on those automations. So there's really like no excuse not to have some more
Interesting.
automation in your life.
Mhm.
Yeah. And because it's so well trained on all these Microsoft things, it's like really good. So I think Microsoft on their own site says that they want to just simplify workflow and boost productivity, right? Now, what they don't tell you on the
Mhm.
same site is that this is extra. This is an add-on. This is not
Mhm.
free. You're going to pay for this. So people watching this, just be aware that your IT department has to do a business case to the company and say, like, is this something that we want? Because it's not free. Does your company have a case for why you need to use like uh, an OpenAI ChatGPT or Copilot in Word or PowerPoint? But it can create things and make things. And I think for the construction industry where we just use spreadsheets like drinking water, insights, analyzing trends, and creating visualizations could be very powerful. And I've seen
Mhm.
even in OpenAI's ability just to chat and have it generate Excel files that you can export back out is pretty impressive. Or work with you step by
Mhm.
step on enhancing formulas and doing things in Excel that the average person doesn't necessarily know how to do. But if you can just talk to it and say, I would like to do something like this and describe it well, it can tell you exactly what to do. And cell A1, copy and paste this code. Cell B3, put this
Mhm.
code. And then it can create some pretty high powered Excel books for you. And then, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
that
I
Fireflies for meeting
yeah.
summaries, they're even having that as a that's an add-in in Microsoft Teams. I've been with some
Mhm.
companies outside of ours that has it enabled for Teams, and it's pretty impressive to see. Even though Microsoft Teams right now off the shelf does transcription, you
Mhm.
just got to turn it on.
Yep. And I feel like this is maybe a question that I'm remembering from last time, but how how do people build a business case? Or what have you seen? Have you seen anything work when it comes to try and help companies understand how to pilot this, right? Like anything that you've seen in your many travels that seems like a good strategy for someone who wants it but needs to convince the back office.
Yeah, so I've seen like I'll just take one example in sales, and let me see if we get there. We're going to get there. This future trends. So we had this open discussion. So, like on this disclaimer, takes me right to where I want to take you. So it's like you said too. It's not going to take jobs in construction entirely, but it can automate a lot of the stuff that we do. So, a lot of things we do in construction is we answer requests for proposal from clients all the time. And when you
Mhm.
do if you're in the similar type of market, like let's say I'm working in schools, like higher education, for example. If I'm working in schools, the kinds of questions that a school is going to ask are pretty common. And if I've already answered
Mhm.
this question like 35 times in 10 years, what if I took all of those answers together, summarized it, and then had a conversation with those questions and answers, and then create something, co creating with AI a better response to the question given today's market? And like, as long
Mhm.
as it took me to describe that example, you could have already had that conversation and have your answer for that request or proposal question. And so if I just do that for each question as a brainstorming, and it's taking what we've answered before, refining it based on my prompting, and we can talk about prompt engineering whenever you want. And then moving forward, I can cut down the time it takes to respond to an RFP from weeks to hours.
Mhm.
And so like that time
Mhm.
and the people, everybody that responds to RFPs at construction companies, there is no full-time request for proposal responder job title. It's everybody who already has a job that has to do this as an extra thing as part of their day-to-day
Mhm.
operations. So I think for those people that already have a full schedule, taking that and just condensing it down to a very good work product in minutes to hours saves them a lot of time so they can stay focused on the more creative things the more operational things where their time is way more valuable. It's not valuable. So like we just take this, let's just assume one project executive, for example. If I'm in a small company and maybe I only have like 5 project executives, or let's just say 2. I'm a really small company, I have 2 project executives in a certain business group. If I can save them 2 weeks worth of work and get it down to a day where they can create these products, now I've just gained the ability for them to focus on projects that are in operations to steer that way. And I've got them, it's more valuable for them to be with their teams and people rather than be sitting behind a computer working by themselves.
Yep.
And so that you can just take their time over that period. And, depending on what kind of business you're in, you might be responding to 40 requests for proposal per year. So you just do the math on 40 times 2 weeks saved, and you essentially have gained like having, 1 or 2 or 3, maybe 5 employees for free by just helping them streamline that work process.
Mhm.
So that's the ROI.
Yeah.
You can just take, I would just do math on 12 months with the staff you have, how long it takes, what the forecasted savings is, and you could do it as a range. You don't have to be super optimistic and say, they're going to go from 2 weeks to an hour. You could say from 2 weeks to 3 days, and just show your work when you make your business case, and does it pencil out? And I would say do an experiment, because a lot of these tools, Elijah, are free. I would say for that business
Yep.
case, do an experiment on one thing for free using the free stuff, see what comes out, put that in your business case, and then have the conversation with leadership to see, like, does it make sense for us at this given time to enhance the way we do things by getting this type of help?
Yep. No, I entirely agree. And it's just pick the right workflow and just build it. It shouldn't take you that long. And I think even your first question, you say, okay, I've got my workflow here, it's submittal processing or whatever it is, right? And one of my first questions, or one of your first questions, can be go to ChatGPT, and you give
Yeah,
it the context that it needs, right? You say, hey, I work at a construction company. My leadership doesn't really believe in AI's capabilities. I have this workflow. This is how much time we're spending on it. Can you help me think about how I might craft a business case that would be compelling, right? And you just
right.
have to think of AI. It's like an employee in the sense that it's going to have strengths and it's going to have weaknesses. And anyone that comes in, you are trying to enable your employee to do great work, right? So if that employee is not going to be good at something technically skilled, but they're really good at brainstorming, or they're really good at, generating great content, like an intern or whatever that might be, play to its strengths. And then when you build your business case, build a business case around it doing something that it's strong at, right? And I don't know. I think with that, you'll be successful.
Absolutely. That's a good, I mean, we could give that to be your last words, but I think even better than you and I giving our last words, I think we're going to use technology to bring in a special guest. We're going to bring,
Uh,
we're going to bring Josh in, and I've got a video ready for Josh. So
great.
when you come to events like ours and at the Lean Construction Institute Community Practice, I do want you to introduce who Josh is. So before we play this interview, you can hear just really brief, because I'm not sure if he introduces himself in this clip, but we'll find out, and
Okay.
that's how we're going to
I
end the
can do
show.
that.
So sneak peek into what it's like to come to our events, and I want Elijah to feel the FOMO because
I
he's
know.
in Boston
I know.
and he just can't come hang
I,
out with us. And so this is what you see.
I was supposed to come hang out next week.
So who is
Next time.
Josh? Who is Josh to us, Elijah?
Yeah, so Josh is many things, honestly, but to me, he's my co-founder here at Roger. His background is in commercial construction as a PM. He was building a lot of multifamily, but before that, he went to what I call construction philosophy boot camp, which is Stanford's construction management degree, where they talk about the highest levels of BIM and IPD and everything that construction should be. And then when you actually get into the field, you're like, this was not as advertised. And so Josh is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, because he pulled me in and said, technology can bring a path forward here in this industry. Let me teach you about it. And we've had this awesome journey for 4 years. He's a great guy. And so that's Josh's background. He's awesome. So I'm excited to watch this. I haven't seen it yet. So this will be a sneak peek for me too.
Sneaky peeky. So I'm going to put it full screen. Let's take a look. This is my first time watching it too. We just got done with the Lean Construction Institute Northern California Community Practice, and we were focused on target value delivery, starting in design through delivery. And I'm joined here with Josh, who's working at one of my most exciting software companies that I've ever seen. Like, his friend Elijah found me on LinkedIn. We connected at the AGC conference. We barely got to talk.
It was sad actually.
So sad. But then we joined into a partnership because they're bringing Scrum at scale to construction projects to help project managers with some of the hardest things they have to do. And I'll just let Josh give us your hot take on this event and our community.
Yeah, totally. I mean, maybe I'll speak to the community first, Felipe. I think that it's very difficult for, especially like operationally focused contractors and owners that are trying to make projects go better, actually sit down and have honest conversations between each other, because they're too busy trying to make the projects work, right? And so to actually have an accessible event where people like are really thoughtful with each other is like super valuable. And so I love being here. It's totally great vibes. And I kind of, based on recommendations from good people that you know, I try to go to lots of events, and this one was uniquely cordial and uniquely good.
As you can tell from his name tag, he's a paid participant, which I love.
I did pay. That was
freaking nice, because I told him just come for free. So like, if you're watching this, like sometimes if you just ask me, I've got free spots that I'll just give. And Josh was like, no, I'll pay. And I was like, good job.
The secret is that I had already paid before he made that offer. And I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get the money back from LCI National. Although if you have any ideas, I'll take it.
This is true. There's no refunds. So you actually got to engage in the content of what was going on.
TBD.
And you asked some really good questions. And I even elbowed my 14-year-old was in the audience next to me. It's like, that's Josh from Roger. And like, he's totally helping. He's listening and he's engaged. So do you remember what the question you asked was?
Oh, totally. I mean, and I think that this is driven not by my experience in construction, but with my experience in software, which is, so the presenter had put up a slide that showed ranking different, priorities on the project with a bunch of numbers, right? And we've tried to do things like this at Roger, but the reality is that you can come up with any story you want to justify a number if you have a secondary agenda. And the real value and what we have tried to do to make our processes more lean, right? Yeah. And to make our operation more effective is actually reduce the numbers that we generate and focus on building trust, building collaboration between members of the team, getting the right people at the table early enough to try and actually have those conversations in an effective way. And the numbers for us have gotten in the way. Now, what the presenter said, and I totally agree with this, is that when you're trying to manage a gigantic set of many organizations, you need the numbers to get people to have the conversations. And so the act of generating the numbers creates the conversations that actually then go and drive the correct value. And so that was I thought that was a spot on and insightful answer. And that's probably what I would do if I was trying to do TVD on a very large project.
Yeah, that's really good. And I love, this is the type of community we have. In the events that we come together, all of our presenters open the dialogue, interrupt at any time, ask questions. We've seen that time and time again, and that's my favorite way. So 100%. Even before the event, Josh, it was so noisy in there, I couldn't even talk to the person next to me. And then after the event, it was so noisy and chattery, I could barely have a conversation with Glenn, who was this close to me. What were some of the conversations that you had generating that chatter so I couldn't hear the people next to me?
Well, Felipe, I have to admit that I got stuck in a 3.5 hour traffic jam before the event, and so I didn't get here.
Welcome to East Bay.
It's unbelievable. I actually flew in just for your event because I was so excited about it, to learn about, lean construction.
What about after the afterwards? What were some of the things that people were talking about after?
I think that, I won't name the hospital network, but I was talking to somebody who was at a hospital network that everybody would know, and he was speaking very eloquently to how this organization that was actually one of the pioneering organizations of integrated project delivery has sort of regressed away from some of their founding principles, and how he's trying to take that back. And so he was really honest with me, actually, right? And I super appreciated that, because I would hope that honestly, we as a software company, we're not perfect. And I would hope that my employees and all of the partners that work with us in a really involved way would come to events in their own hemispheres and speak very honestly about the things that they're trying to solve. So he did. So it was great to hear that.
Oh, I love hearing that we've got a space where people are being honest. When I was coming up construction over 20 years ago, there was almost no transparency about how things worked. And even today we heard about people talking about pro forma business cases and return on investment.
Yeah.
These phrases were never talked about in the first 15, almost 20 years that I was in the business. It was all about hit your numbers, make your marks, and somehow it all worked. And we've come to devolve that and see that that doesn't work. These non-integrated siloed approaches don't work. And you hit it on the head with the bringing people together, having an honest conversation, maybe generating numbers to capture something is so powerful. And I think what I like about your software in particular, number one, it's all about Scrum, which I loved. But two is that it creates a visual to get it off of my mouth and onto a screen or a dashboard so that people can react
100%.
to the things. Like you mentioned the numbers. If I put a number in front of you and say, hey, customer satisfaction right now is only 20%. Look at his reaction. Now we can talk.
Right.
But if I would have told you hey, all your customers hate your shit. Now you're going to get offended, and it's now we're in a
we're
fight,
butt heads.
right? So
Totally.
Software, 100%. Basic whiteboards, these types of things, or even the slides and the visuals people use, have made things different and having different conversations.
100%.
And on your side, I'm really curious, Josh. You have a lot of data, but from the customer's perspective, what are you seeing customers doing with the visuals that they're getting from Roger? Because I think it dovetails nicely with the TVD approach at a more micro level with just one team.
What we have found, Felipe, is that on any project of, say, 20 people, there are 3 people, let's say, that are never going to adopt your processes. They're never going to pick up Scrum. They're always going to fight it. And then there are 3 people that are going to drive Scrum, right? And then there are the rest, 20 minus 6 or 20 minus 6, 14.
14, yeah.
There's 14 people who will go either way. If you use sticky notes, you're going to get 6 of those 14 to get in Scrum, and so you end up with 9. If you use Roger, you're going to end up with more 11 or 12 of those 14 that are influenceable to be driven into a process. And we've seen this now time and time again on projects. If you actually make a tool that is scalable and can be driven and shared with different people, then you start to see real operational change. So we're working on a project in Southern California. It's a 9-figure hospital project, and we went from, we saw these numbers in action, right? We went from seeing 50 sticky notes created per week to 170 Roger tasks created per week. And we went from seeing 6 people engaged with Scrum to seeing 15 people engaged with Scrum. So it's really exciting for us to see. And who taught that? Who taught that team how to do Scrum, Felipe?
I think it might have been me.
Not I think, it was you. So you get a lot of the credit there.
Yeah, thank you, then. And I just want to let you get the last word. What's the big aha from you based on today? You flew all this way, you participate in our community. What's the thing you're taking back to Elijah
I think for me, we're a software company and we need to meet contractors. That's our goal. And I think the thing that I will tell Elijah tomorrow morning is I will say, dude, the way to meet people better is to be face-to-face with them, see them in person, get out to the events, get in your car, get on a plane, sit in the 3 hours of traffic, because actually spending time with people is like face-to-face is pretty hard to beat.
Thank you, Josh.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Roger that. Oh, what do you think, Elijah?
It's amazing. I was texting Josh in the middle of that video, one saying killed it, and two saying anything you say with background music sounds like 4 times as good. And if I could just have background music playing to like everything I say in life, I think I'd be at a different level than I am now.
Yeah, that's why now you're going to realize why I travel with the portable speaker that I clip to my belt loop. And that's why it's just, it does make it so cool. Well, Elijah,
That was amazing.
thank you
That's an
for
awesome video.
Yeah, thank you for coming with me. Thank you, Cristobal, for putting that video together and your beautiful team, making that happen for us and our community and helping us spread the word. So everybody watching, I hope you start to understand, like, why do people fly all the way from Boston to California to come join our community of practice? And we've had people from as far away as Japan, Canada, and Hungary come to our events in beautiful California. Welcome to the Golden State. So Elijah, you have a great, fantastic rest of your time. And we even have Cristobal even chiming in and watching live. It's almost like he knew his work
My
was
man.
being shown.
Yeah, that
Right?
was
So,
perfect.
yeah, that was so good, Cristobal. Thank you. Yeah, people follow Cristobal on LinkedIn if you want to get in touch with him to get this type of videography for yourselves. I highly recommend him 100%. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Elijah, you get the last word, and then we're going to play us out.
I got nothing but thanks for having me, and go Celtics.
Very special thanks to my guest. I'm Felipe Engineer Manriquez. The EBFC show is created by Felipe and produced by a passion to build easier and better. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, everybody. Let's go build.